Bold and the Beautiful. Thomas targets Brooke. Is she in danger? Bold and the Beautiful sees Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, back in town and more determined than ever to keep his parents together. That means trouble for Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang. But the question is, how bad will it be? Bold and the Beautiful. The Logan family's conspiracy against Taylor Hayes. To be fair, the Logans are all conspiring against Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig. That includes Donna Logan, Jennifer Garais, Katie Logan, Heather Tom, and Eric Forrester, John McCook, who's an honorary Logan at this point. If you think about it, doesn't Taylor deserve someone in her corner fighting for her as much as Donna, Katie, and Eric are fighting for Brooke? If you think about it that way, then you see that there's a point to bringing Thomas back, especially with Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, gone, and especially since Ridge Forrester, Torsten Kay, continues to waffle in the middle between these two women, just ruining everybody's lives. Thomas Forrester's personal struggles and reunion with Taylor. We have found out more since Thomas came back home to LA about what's going on in his personal life. Honestly, it's no wonder his first stop was to see his mom, Taylor, in her office at the hospital. He needed some comfort, too. She and Thomas had a really nice little reunion moment. They caught up, and Taylor told Thomas that Brooke was interfering with her engagement to Ridge. But Thomas still doesn't realize the full extent of how much Ridge is part of the problem, because he's the biggest part. Taylor doesn't realize that either, at least not yet. Brooke Def knows, Ridge knows, and the Logans know. Bold and the Beautiful. Thomas confronts Ridge after a shocking discovery. Thomas's next stop was to go over and see his dad at Forrester Creations. Thomas was stunned to see Brooke in Ridge's arms, and Thomas wasn't happy about it, which makes sense because as far as he knows, his parents are happily engaged. Then he walks in on what looks like some cheating. Thomas directly asked his daddy Ridge Forrester if the wedding to Taylor is still on. Thomas told Ridge, "Don't break Taylor's heart again, because the whole family is counting on you." What's whack about that is that Ridge basically reassured Thomas that things are fine and that he's not going to mess up things. It's already happened. Why Thomas Forrester is obsessed with Ridge and Taylor's marriage. We found out more about why Thomas is back in LA because he was telling his dad why he really needs the closure, or togetherness, of Ridge and Taylor getting married. Part of that is because Thomas's own engagement is off. He and Paris Buckingham, Diamond White, are done. Thomas said he and Paris broke up and that her family is trouble, all of them. He's not wrong, especially since her mom, Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech, pulled that horrible con on Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, and Bill Spencer, Don Diamont. Plus, Thomas said he and Steffi watched Ridge hurt Taylor for years, which is absolutely true. They don't like that, they don't want it for their mom. Thomas on a mission to stop Brooke. So Thomas was telling Ridge that the whole reason he's back is to make sure Brooke doesn't get her hooks in Ridge and make him hurt Taylor again. Thomas also said after the split from Paris, he just doesn't know what his life is now, what his purpose is. He tells Ridge that he's feeling untethered. He's got no relationship. He's not working on a fashion line on Bold and the Beautiful. And his son Douglas Forrester, Henry Joseph Samory, is busy with his friends because he's at that age now. Unfortunately for Ridge, Thomas is hyper-focused on Taylor's happiness. Thomas told Ridge he'd better not trample on Taylor's heart again after she bounced back from the last crisis, which, as we all know, was the broken heart syndrome. Dark Thomas returns, confronting Brooke Logan. Ridge is worried, of course, because Thomas is very intent on making sure Ridge and Taylor get married and Brooke doesn't come between them. After seeing Ridge in Brooke's clutches up at the office, Thomas went to confront Brooke. Thomas's angle, I do think what he is doing is justified because his parents are happily engaged. As far as he knows, Ridge did not contradict that, and he saw them in what looked like a cheating situation. So he went in there, and as Katie sat looking shocked, Thomas told Brooke, Ridge is marrying Taylor and Brooke better not try and come between them ever again. Katie was surprised. Brooke's jaw dropped, and then she was glaring. It definitely sounded like the guy we've seen from the past, Dark Thomas. Again though, think about his perspective. Think about what he's seeing. Brooke is seeing this through the lens of she and Ridge are basically reunited already because of what happened there. But that's not the reality for Thomas for Ridge right now who's waffling, and definitely not for Taylor. Is Brooke Logan in danger? Thomas's schemes unveiled. The big question is, should Brooke be afraid of what her former stepson might do to keep Ridge with Taylor and keep their marriage on track to happen? Can Brooke trust that Ridge won't waffle back to Taylor and ignore what happened with them in Italy? I don't know if Brooke can trust him or not. I could see Thomas plotting and scheming to make sure Brooke doesn't split his parents up. Bold and the Beautiful. Eric Forrester's hypocrisy, advising Ridge on Thomas. Later, Ridge was telling Eric about Thomas pressing him to marry Taylor. Eric said, "Don't let Thomas tell you what to do." Then it was huge irony because Eric was telling Ridge, "Don't let Thomas tell you what to do. Let me tell you what to do." Ridge realized that and told his dad, "It's the same thing you're doing." But Eric thinks it's okay when he does it because Eric thinks he knows what's best for Ridge. Thomas Forrester's dark side, a threat to Brooke Logan. Now that Thomas is out here looking for a purpose, I think he's going to find it, defending his mom from Brooke trying to take her man. But there is a red flag about Thomas's behavior that's already sketchy from the moment he returned to LA. When Taylor told Lee Finnegan, Naomi Matsuda, that Thomas is back and doing great now. They touched on his past issues, and Taylor said she would hate for Thomas to have a setback, but if he does, Taylor will be there for him. So, B&B might have been hinting and warning us that Thomas may lose the plot and go nuts if he finds out Ridge did indeed tell Brooke that he would dump Taylor and get back with her. Will Thomas go off the rails? I can absolutely see Thomas going after Brooke to make sure she's not a threat to Taylor's happiness with Ridge. Of course, I'm not suggesting Thomas will physically harm Brooke. That's not his pattern of behavior, like physically hurting her. Never say never, but it's not been his pattern of behavior. I think it's more likely Thomas does something to make Brooke look bad to Ridge. It wouldn't be the first time on Bold and the Beautiful. Years ago, he let Ridge think he and Brooke slept together to discredit her. More recently, Thomas, of course, framed Brooke for that CBS call that Thomas faked using Douglas Voice app. We all know Thomas can be ruthless, vindictive, and dark. With Paris out of his life and Hope Logan, Annika Noel, busy with 2 other guys, Thomas has got lots of energy to focus on making sure Brooke won't get in the way. Bold and the Beautiful. Brooke's peril, Thomas and Steffi's alliance against her. Let's be clear when it comes to Thomas. Yes, Brooke should be very worried. Not just because Thomas might target her directly, like he did in the past with the CBS call, but Brooke should also worry that Thomas could influence Ridge and push him to stick with Taylor. I'm sure Brooke realizes that this is serious, but I don't know if she understands how serious it is for him. I can also picture Thomas conspiring with Steffi to protect their mom, especially after the whole heart syndrome crisis. Steffi is going to be furious when she finds out Ridge promised Brooke a future after he fished her out of the water, hot on the heels of Ridge promising Steffi he'd never break Taylor's heart. The big question is, what could Thomas do to get Brooke away from Ridge? What was interesting was when Thomas confronted Ridge, he didn't have the nerve to tell his son he planned to dump Taylor. So honestly, I think Thomas's best case is just to intensify the pressure on Ridge and pile up that guilt. But all of that reminds me of that old Bonnie Raitt song, "I Can't Make You Love Me." That line, "I can't make you love me if you don't." If Ridge doesn't love Taylor the way he loves Brooke, nobody, not even Thomas, can make it happen. But I bet he's going to try. The Bold and the Beautiful. Nothing stays buried for long. Secrets resurface, old wounds bleed fresh, and rivalries ignite in ways that keep fans glued to their screens day after day. But today's shocking development has left even long-time viewers reeling. Thomas Forrester may be setting his sights on Brooke Logan once again, this time with intentions that are as dangerous as they are unpredictable. For years, Thomas has been one of the most polarizing figures in the soap. His troubled history, manipulative streak, and obsession with control have landed him in hot water more than once. But with his recent storyline suggesting redemption and newfound stability, many fans hoped Thomas was finally on a path of peace. Now, however, ominous hints are emerging that Brooke may soon find herself squarely in his crosshairs. Could Thomas really be planning to target the matriarch of the Logan family? And if so, what exactly does he want? And how far is he willing to go? Let's dive into the shocking possibilities shaking up the Bold and the Beautiful universe. The complicated history of Brooke and Thomas. To fully grasp why Brooke could be in danger, it's important to revisit the turbulent history between her and Thomas. Brooke Logan has long been at odds with the Forrester clan, particularly when her loyalties to Ridge have clashed with their family's vision. Thomas, Ridge's son, has always harbored resentment toward Brooke. He blames her for interfering in his family's affairs, for manipulating Ridge's love life, and for undermining his own place within the Forrester dynasty. From Thomas's perspective, Brooke has often acted like the gatekeeper of Ridge's heart, pulling strings to suit her own agenda. While there have been moments of civility, trust between them has never fully existed. Brooke has been quick to call out Thomas's manipulations in the past, especially his obsession with Hope Logan, Brooke's daughter. It was Brooke who pushed for Hope to cut ties with Thomas, citing his unstable behavior and dangerous schemes. For Thomas, Brooke has always been more than just a critic, she's been an obstacle. And obstacles, as history has shown, are something Thomas has never handled with grace. A redemption arc in jeopardy. Not too long ago, the bold and the beautiful positioned Thomas on what seemed like a clear redemption arc. After years of manipulation, lies, and obsessive behavior, he appeared determined to change. He sought forgiveness, attempted to rebuild trust, and even began to repair his fractured relationship with Hope. Fans began cautiously rooting for him, believing that Thomas was finally stepping into a healthier chapter of his life. But as soap fans know all too well, redemption arcs rarely last forever. They are often the calm before a storm, a fragile reprieve before darker instincts resurface. And now, the storm clouds are gathering again. Subtle hints in recent episodes suggest Thomas's darker impulses may be stirring. His interactions have grown more intense, his glances more calculated. The question is no longer whether Thomas has changed, it's whether his so-called change was ever real to begin with. Why Brooke could be his next target. If Thomas is indeed regressing into old patterns, Brooke is the most logical target. Here's why. 1. Personal grudge. Thomas has never forgiven Brooke for consistently painting him as a villain. Her warnings to Hope about his manipulations have damaged his reputation time and again. If Thomas is craving revenge, Brooke is the one who has thwarted him most. 2. Influence over Ridge. Brooke continues to wield tremendous sway over Ridge's life. For Thomas, undermining or eliminating Brooke's influence could be the key to strengthening his own place within the Forrester family. 3. Hope's protector. Brooke remains Hope's fiercest protector. If Thomas still harbors unresolved feelings for Hope, Brooke stands directly in the way. Removing Brooke could clear a path for him to once again insinuate himself into Hope's world. 4. Past confrontations. Their history is littered with confrontations where Brooke bested him. For a man like Thomas, those defeats may fester as wounds waiting to be avenged. All these factors combined create a dangerous cocktail of motives. And when it comes to Thomas, motives often translate into action. Signs Thomas may be plotting. Viewers have begun picking up on subtle clues that Thomas's behavior is shifting. Some of the most telling include brooding glances. Soap fans know the power of a well-timed glare. Thomas's increasingly cold looks toward Brooke haven't gone unnoticed. Cryptic dialogue. His recent lines about people getting what they deserve and taking control back could be more than just throwaway words. Isolation. Characters in soaps rarely isolate themselves without reason. Thomas's moments of solitude suggest internal plotting. Tense interactions with Ridge. His father's ongoing affection for Brooke might be triggering Thomas's frustrations. Resentment could fuel reckless decisions. These may seem like small details on the surface, but in the world of daytime drama, such hints often foreshadow seismic storylines. What form could his revenge take? If Thomas is indeed targeting Brooke, the real mystery is how. Soap villains, or anti-heroes, rarely limit themselves to simple confrontations. Instead, their schemes are elaborate, layered, and designed to devastate. Some possibilities include 1. Professional sabotage. Brooke is no stranger to the world of fashion and business. Thomas could engineer a scandal to discredit her, perhaps leaking information that tarnishes her reputation. 2. Family manipulation. He might attempt to turn Ridge, Hope, or even Douglas against her, twisting narratives to isolate Brooke from those she loves most. 3. Romantic interference. If Brooke and Ridge find themselves on stable ground again, Thomas could seek to destabilize their relationship through lies, deception, or orchestrated misunderstandings. 4. Physical danger. While extreme, Thomas's past actions prove he isn't above putting others at risk. Could Brooke be lured into a situation where her safety is compromised? The possibilities are endless, and each one carries shocking potential to rock the canvas of the bold and the counterattack. If Brooke suspects Thomas is up to something, fans can expect fireworks. Brooke Logan has never been one to back down from a fight, especially when her family is at stake. She has faced manipulations, betrayals, and schemes countless times, and she always finds a way to strike back. Brooke's strategies might include exposing him publicly. Brooke thrives in high-stakes showdowns. If she uncovers Thomas's plotting, she may call him out in front of Ridge and the Forresters, forcing them to see the truth. Protecting Hope. Brooke would double down on shielding Hope from Thomas, potentially reigniting their explosive clashes. Leveraging Ridge. Brooke has a unique influence over Ridge. If she convinces him Thomas is dangerous, she could rally Ridge to her side, creating even more tension within the Forrester family. This tug-of-war could split loyalties, with devastating consequences for everyone involved. The ripple effect on other characters. Thomas targeting Brooke wouldn't just shake their dynamic, it would send shockwaves across the entire bold and beautiful canvas. Ridge Forrester. Ridge would be torn between defending his son and protecting Brooke. This could reignite the eternal Ridge-Brooke-Taylor triangle, leaving fans buzzing. Hope Logan. Hope would be caught in the middle, forced to reconcile her mother's warnings with her own complicated history with Thomas. Douglas Forrester. As Thomas's son, Douglas could be used as a pawn, further complicating family dynamics. Taylor Hayes. If Thomas spirals, Taylor may once again be forced to confront her son's instability, putting her at odds with Brooke in a familiar yet fresh way. Essentially, Brooke becoming Thomas's target could reshape the show's entire landscape, pushing old rivalries into new directions. Fan reactions. Shock and speculation. Already, fans on social media are buzzing about the possibility of Thomas setting his sights on Brooke. Many viewers are shocked, while others argue it's the kind of bold, dramatic twist that keeps the show compelling. Some fans express fear for Brooke's safety, pointing to Thomas's past behavior as evidence that he's capable of truly dangerous acts. Others, however, are intrigued by the idea of Brooke finally meeting her match in manipulation and strategy. The speculation has fueled online debates. Is Thomas beyond redemption? Is Brooke strong enough to withstand his schemes? Could this finally be the storyline that cements Thomas as the show's ultimate anti-hero? Final thoughts. Is Brooke in real danger? In the unpredictable world of the bold and the beautiful, one thing is certain, no character is ever truly safe. Brooke Logan, a soap icon, has survived countless scandals, heartbreaks, and betrayals. Yet the looming threat from Thomas feels different. More personal, more dangerous, and potentially more explosive than anything she's faced in years. Whether Thomas plans to ruin her reputation, destroy her relationships, or endanger her life, one thing is clear. Brooke is officially in the line of fire. And as fans, we wouldn't have it any other way. After all, it's the shocking twists, the high-stakes drama, and the dangerous confrontations that make the bold and the beautiful the soap we can't stop watching. So buckle up, because if Thomas Forrester is truly targeting Brooke Logan, the ride ahead is going to be one of the most shocking in recent memory.